Welcome to the WTR Small Cap Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Gerdeman, Vice Chair and Co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer of Water Tower Research. In today's podcast episode, I'm being joined by Rob Spilman, Chairman and CEO, and Mike Daniel, CFO, both of Bassett Furniture Industries, NASDAQ ticker symbol BSET. Bassett Furniture, founded in 1902 and headquartered in Virginia, is a leading provider of high-quality home furnishings with a wide range of distribution types. Bassett sells approximately 60% of its products through its network of 86 company and licensee-owned stores, which feature the latest on-trend furniture styles. Bassett's wholesale business supplies more than 1,000 open market accounts, general furniture stores, and a growing number of interior design firms. Also joining us is my colleague Doug Lane, Managing Director and Consumer Equity Research Analyst at Water Tower Research. Doug has Bassett's furniture under coverage, and his reports are available on WTR's website. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thanks, Tim.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Thank you.
good to be here.
So, Rob, this is your first podcast with us, so welcome. And I have to say, as a fourth generation leader of Bassett Furniture, I know you're leveraging the qualities that have been key in Bassett's 124-year history, along with investments in technology, to position the company for growth in today's market for home furnishings. To kick things off, before Doug asks a few questions, please provide our listeners with a little more detail on Bassett's business model and key differentiators beyond my opening remarks, and then we'll move it over to Doug.
Okay. Well, Tim, as you point out, we are 124 years old and we've been through a lot of things. So seen a lot of global events and industry events. And I guess I think I could best approach your question by talking about our migration uh, to a provider of customized home furnishings products that began almost 30 years ago. And that was due to the, I'll say the onslaught of all the furniture that came in from Asia and continues to dominate the wood part of the furniture industry today. And we were a wood supplier, primarily had some upholstery. But today, almost 80% of our products are produced one at a time to satisfy the needs and desires of a specific consumer that has placed the order with us. So no more big batches of furniture anonymously going into a finished goods warehouse waiting for someone to buy it. And that was what we used to do a long time ago, very successfully for decades and decades. But the Asian product came in at such low prices back in those days that we knew we had to do something different. And so that was the beginning of that. And it was quite a re-education process for all our folks in manufacturing, to be sure. Today, we augment this with globally sourced product designed by us. We seldom change suppliers. Some of our global partners have been supplying us for over 25 years. These are products that are better suited for a global sourcing based on the materials, the skill sets, and the techniques that are either unavailable in the U.S. or cost prohibitive in the U.S. So you've got about almost 80% done here on the customized front in the U.S., and then we augment that with this globally sourced product. All of those efforts come together inside the confines of our Bassett Home Furnishing stores. We have 260 skilled design consultants that get to know and understand their client and then create the design solution that meets their particular need. We offer hundreds of fabrics, an array of wood finishes, We complement that with rugs, lighting, pillows, art, window coverings to complete the client's residential space. In the process, we offer technological enhancements for space planning, product visualization that gives a client a realistic depiction of their new space and the furniture that will go in it. We can satisfy the assignment for virtually every room in the home and for the outdoor living area as well. Getting to this point from where we were 30 years ago has been a massive undertaking, I must say, but has allowed Bassett to continue to carry on in the competitive global furniture industry that we find ourselves in today. So we do a lot of other things, but that's kind of the big picture.
That's a wonderful incremental color. I appreciate that. And with that, Rob, I'll turn it over to Doug Lane to ask a few questions.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Hey, Rob. In the past year, Bassett has continued to weather a challenging housing environment. You've completed the restructuring program you announced in 2024. And as you stated on your earnings call on February 5th, Bassett's continuing with the restructuring mindset by challenging the cost structure of the company and improving operating efficiency to reduce costs. And you've launched a number of initiatives to drive market share gains through new products and refreshed lines. So how are customers responding to all these changes?
Well, I would say we're pleased. We're not pleased as much as we want to be. I can tell you that. We always want to do better, and we're doing a lot of new things, Doug. Let me talk about that restructuring mindset a little bit. And you know, we knew we had to take some costs out of our business back in 2024, and we did, but we still need to be ever vigilant on how we can do things more efficiently, more cost effectively, and like any good business, and we're doing that, and that's an ongoing aspect of the way we conduct our day-to-day business around here at Bassett. On the product front, of course, we are driven by the products that we sell. We are today we're about 70% upholstery, and that is really the inverse of what we were when we started the migration that I described to Tim a minute ago. It used to be 70% wood, but we've gotten very good at the production of customized upholstered furniture. Again, offering hundreds of fabrics and a lot of optionality and the size of the product, the cushions, various design features. We sell very little, just as you see it on the floor. Our consumer knows that we can do all of these different things, and they respond very well to it. The hallmark of all that, in addition to the customization, is our fast delivery. So we get our product, even with all these nuances I described, out of the plant in less than 2 weeks. So, and the hallmark of all that is what we call our true custom assortment. That's a product range with kind of a line within a line that has the best materials and the most optionality to it. And you can virtually build practically any piece of furniture and upholstery. We have many different arms and backs and options that you can choose from. We do it in 6-inch increments. So that's really important. And that's something that consumers, to your question, have responded very positively to. We have a similar program in our motion product, reclining and motion sofas and sectionals. Again, not something you see out there a lot in the marketplace, but customized motion is something that's really grown for us. On the wood side, as I mentioned, we started as a wood company back in 1902, and we still domestically produce wood in our Benchmade product line. And then we import collections, which we've really kind of gotten back into over the last 18 months with some of our new products like our Copenhagen collection. And then finally, design items that we bring in from various parts of the world, with hand painted furniture, woven furniture, leather clad furniture, stone, metal. So we really do have quite an array of ways to entice the consumer to buy Bassett, and we work hard on that every day and continue to move forward.
No, you're really able to differentiate, and the customization has got to be a key selling point. I noticed, you've changed a lot in the last few years, but also the industry seen a lot of change. There's been a greater loss of independent furniture retailers. So how does this impact Bassett? How is Bassett responding to this loss of the independent furniture retailers? And can this situation lead to market share gains for you?
Well, it's definitely a new world out there. I would say post COVID has accelerated this. Some of it, or really a lot of it, is generational. So we are seeing the demise, or really the retirement of a lot of furniture store owners, many of whom were good Bassett customers, and of course that's disturbing. But as you have this generational handoff that could happen, many times the younger generation is electing not to, not to enter the business. So we say, okay, how are we going to, with there fewer fish to catch out there in the sea, how are we going to handle this? It's something we talk about quite a bit. So we do this on several fronts. One, we take the key elements of our store program and offer a dedicated space, 3,000 to 5,000 feet within a individual furniture store. We call that a Bassett Design Center. And a lot of these capabilities and attributes of our store, we compress into this smaller space. It requires a lot of training. It requires our sales reps in the field to really work hand in hand with the dealer to get to know the salespeople on the floor. But these Bassett Design Centers are very productive for us. And once we have them set up, and they don't all work, but a very high percentage of them work, and most of our big guys in this channel have been with us for many years. So that's kind of the focal point of the dedicated of the open market business. We also have we've miniaturized this even further to a 1,000 square foot concept that we launched about 2 years ago, which requires not as much capital on the part of the retailer to feature that true custom upholstery product that I mentioned a minute ago. Call this a Bassett Custom Studio. And again, a lot of training, a lot of follow-up on the part of our sales representative, but we have about 60 of those now, and we're adding to that count. So we really like to take what we do in the store and those points of differentiation, as you say, and miniaturize it and put it out there in the open market. The final point I'd like to make on this question is the advent and really the growth of the interior design channel, not only with Bassett, but in the furniture industry in general. So we go down to North Carolina twice a year to the furniture show in High Point. And today, there are more interior designers there at the big show than there are retailers. So the designers are becoming a bigger and bigger factor, and they come in all shapes and sizes. I would say they're big design firms that may have 15 to 20 designers, and then there's also the mom and pop interior designer who works off her kitchen table. So we try to sell all of those. Of course, we really like working with the design firms because the jobs tend to be bigger. It is an effort that is really, I would say, nascent for us. We have not fully developed all the capabilities that we need to have to do this, but we are making progress. We are growing this channel, and we do feel like, based on our customization, quick response, that what we can do is tailor made for the interior designer. So it's pretty exciting, and our folks are really into this. And stay tuned.
No, that does sound exciting. And another initiative you recently launched was the Bassett Hospitality Division. How will this initiative lead to growth, and how is it leveraging your design experience?
Well, again, we've got to continue to roll with the punches, to react to the changes in the marketplace. And there's no secret there's a challenging housing market out there, and we have been looking other places to drive growth. We have done basically through osmosis some nice hospitality and contract jobs over the last 4 or 5 years, and frankly, those came to us through maybe a sales representative or a contact or whatever. But so we decided, hey, we like what we're seeing with this. Again, with the quick response and the customization and all the capabilities we have, and the warehousing footprint, and domestic and global, we think we can be a player in that. And those 80 some odd Bassett stores out there are kind of a brand beacon. People drive by them, and these folks who do these design jobs in hotels and whatnot see these brand representations of Bassett, and we think it's something that can leverage the whole company. So we hired an individual to run this back in December. We've already gotten a couple nice jobs. And this is primarily the boutique hotels, senior living, multifamily, or even country clubs. So there's a lot of money being spent in these kind of commercial applications on furniture out there, and we want to be part of it.
Well, they all need furniture, right? So let me ask you, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you the tariff question. So how are you managing the impact of tariffs to protect margins and maintain your competitive positioning?
Well, of course, it's a big question, because it's seems to be constantly evolving, all the way from April the 2nd of last year, so-called Liberation Day, all the way up to the recent ruling by the Supreme Court that we heard about in the State of the Union on Tuesday night. So, we bring in furniture from Vietnam, from India, from Mexico, from various places, and they've all got their set of rules, or they had until the other day, when everybody seems to be getting a 15% across the board now, at least for 120 days or 150 days, whatever that is. So we're not jumping around changing suppliers, because we've got a great supply base. We work with them. We have had to implement price increases to account for this, because that was a major cost we didn't have contemplated. Um, I will say, it affected our retail margins a little bit in the fourth quarter, as we said on the recent call, because we did not put all of that tariff into the pricing at retail. We thought we were kind of baked on the whole quarter and all the promotions and all that. So we had to eat a little bit of that, which we didn't like, but we did.
Mhm.
And so we have since adjusted that at the first of the year. And we're sitting here watching like everybody else. I mean, what's
Mhm.
next? So
No,
I don't know what's next.
nobody.
So I mean, we're doing the best we can. I mean, I've seen all these guys lining up to sue the government to get their money back, and we'll be watching that. And if everybody's going to get their money back, we'd like to get our money. But it's pretty wild, but it's out there. Our folks pay a great deal of attention to it, and I think we've managed it pretty well. It is. I just wish it settled down like everybody else.
It's unpredictable.
It's with everything else going on in business. This is a pretty big distraction that everybody's had to deal with.
No, no question about it. All right, let's move on and talk about e-commerce. You've been investing in e-commerce, create a seamless customer experience, across all your channels and e-commerce for sales. How do you use e-commerce, and what are your expectations for future e-commerce growth?
Well, we spent a lot of money on our website a number of years ago. I mean, I think we're in our coming around on our third year of the new platform, and that was designed to do a lot of things. One is to be the front door to the brand, and certainly
Mhm.
we know that people come in our stores. Virtually everybody's been on the website, and they come in, and more often than not now ask for specific products they saw on the website, which is something we didn't used to see. So you got to have a good looking website, and it's got to be interactive, and the navigation has to be um, crisp, and you need to offer good experience. And so even though I'm not sure that I really realized that once we got this thing up and running, how much we'd have to continue to work on making it better every day. But you do,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so and that's time consuming and expensive, but we do that, and it's good to see now that we're beginning to uh, get some nice growth out of the e-commerce. Being so heavily customized is not totally conducive to doing web sales. It's not a point and click thing. When you've got all these options and this, that, and the other, we tend to sell more of the things that are not customized that we offer on the website, but we are working to grow in a measured way some of the custom options that we have, and we're starting to see that. So as you saw, we were up 27% last year. It's a small number, but it's a growing number. And out of the gate this year, we're continuing to grow at a very nice double digit pace. Um, we want a seamless experience. If they want to come in, shop, and they go home and buy it, we want them to be able to do that. If they just want to buy it on the web, we want them to be able to do it. I mean, we got all those designers in the stores. We want them to that's the way we really prefer to sell the furniture. But the web is very important, and I think it will continue to grow for us.
No, it sounds like you're successfully integrating it into your Bassett ecosystem. Let's shift gears over to financing. I mean, you've got a debt-free balance sheet. Your plans are to spend more in capital spending in 2026 than you did last year. I think you're opening three new locations. So, where are you with your capital investments this year and your new store opening plans?
Yeah.
Well, Mike is dying to take this question, so I'm going to turn it over to him. And
All right.
all right, so let her rip, Mike.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Doug, both. Yeah. Let me just first say that we are vigilant at protecting that balance sheet. And, as Rob has said before, our forefathers left us with a very strong balance sheet. And, there's not a day that goes by that we, both Rob and me, look at the cash balance. What is the cash balance? And so we're very tuned into that and vigilant in protecting that. So with that as a backdrop, we do have to invest in the business. And if you look at, maybe I'm going to use the term maintenance capital, if you will. And from a maintenance capital standpoint, we typically, around 2 million to 3 million a year just to keep the business running. So we spent 4.5 million last year. The year before that, we spent a little over 5 million. So, and really, when you look at the additional spending on top of the maintenance capital, you're looking at store build out. We had a store that we purchased actually in, I think it was 23, which was Tampa, and we spent in 24 on some build out for that. We opened another store in 25 or 24 that we spent some capital in. And particularly this year, we spent some capital in really a total redo, a makeover, if you will, of one of our stores around Charlotte. So, having said all that, we're saying publicly $8 to $12 million of expected capital expenditures this year, which includes 3 store build outs, 2 which will be in new markets, one in Cincinnati, one in Orlando, and one where we're repositioning or moving a store in Long Island. So a little bit more than what we've done the last 2 years, and probably, we'll continue to look at how we're generating cash and kind of measuring that, and whatever additional capex we may want to do will be considered based on the capital, based on the cash generation. But we've kind of said we'd like to open another 2 to 3 stores a year. So you could say potentially the run rate would be somewhere $8 to $12 million going forward. So that's kind of where we are on the capital front.
Oh, thanks, Mike. That's helpful and a nice rundown. I appreciate that. We're coming up on time here, but before we go, Rob, you've been in the furniture business a long time. How would you compare today's environment with past cycles you've experienced?
Doug, in a room down the hall here, I've got financial statements from Bassett dating back to the 1930s, and and I've studied those over the years and looked at all the downturns, and historically speaking, when we hit and listen, furniture has always hit these downturns, but generally speaking, historically there have been a big bounce back once these things kind of run their course. This one, it's harder for me to really get my brain wrapped around this. It's the first on the back of a pandemic. It's the first on the back of a boom that characterized the pandemic. So we did an unbelievable amount of business in 2.5 years. I would say it's the first that I can really point to in a national housing slump that has persisted as long as this one has. This has been going on 3 years now, so that's the most worrisome. And there are other factors, But so we do ask ourselves, when is the housing market coming back? And what are the triggers to have that happen? And I don't think I'm reading about a lot of clear direction in that regard. So I think that there are a lot of unique factors to this one, and what I would suggest everyone do is tailor their business to the current environment, operate as well as they can, and at some point in time, I believe all these millennials who are now almost 40 years old, some of them are 40 years old. It's a big group, and we still believe they're going to buy a lot of houses, but we need that to happen.
Well, those are good insights. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'll turn it back over to Tim to close up.
Well, thanks, Rob, Mike, and Doug for joining us today and talking about Bassett Furniture. And Rob, I would say you're not the only executive on the planet that's having a tough time reading the tea leaves. It's a very, very challenging time to make sense of what's going on. There's a lot of cross currents.
Right. Well, we're, as Mike says, we're vigilant.
Best policy. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, as well as visiting www.watertowerresearch.com to stay up to speed on the company's small cap written research reports, podcasts, fireside chats, industry-specific symposiums, and conference schedules. We will see you next time for another edition of the WTR Small Cap Spotlight podcast. Finally, a special thanks to the producer and editor of the podcast, Krista Fitzpatrick.